Everyone needs a good old cowboy romance in their life, okay? I didn't even know if the characters even liked each other. That's how slow burn it is. The Chestnut Spring series now has me in a chokehold. I am like devouring the series as we speak. If you like kind of grumpy, broody main male characters, but like they're grumpy and broody but nerdy and a little bit socially awkward, Elliot. Elliot is the man for you. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is super fun, which is my January reading wrap up. I literally cannot believe that January is over and now we are in February. Like, time is moving so fast. It is scary. So during the month of January, I read a total of 6 books. 5 of those books were actually from my physical TBR and one was not. I fell victim to the Kindle Unlimited choices. One of my reading goals for 2025 is to really hone in and focus on kind of dwindling down my physical TBR, actively choosing to read books on my TBR rather than just picking up books willy-nilly, which is really hard to do for me because I am a mood reader through and through. Being a mood reader sometimes is so hard because you never really know what you want to read until the time actually arises. And sometimes when you're actively reading, you still don't know if this book is the right fit for you and your mood. But with that being said, let's get into it. So the first book I read during January was Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel to Divine Rivals and it is actually the last book in that series. I believe Divine Rivals is only a duology, so it is perfect if you are looking for a low commitment fantasy series. I feel like oftentimes fantasy series are 5 to 6 books. Maybe you'll get a trilogy every now and then, but still, 3 books is a lot. And not to mention, the second book in a series I feel like is oftentimes filler. I feel like a lot of times it is used as a stepping stool or like a way to set up the plot for the third book. So sometimes you just don't want to deal with that and you just want to get in and out of a fantasy series because fantasies are always series. I feel like it's so hard to find a standalone fantasy book. If you know any, please let me know. I need that. Please and thank you. I am getting so off topic, but Ruthless Vows is the second book of Divine Rivals and it literally picks up right after Divine Rivals, which I loved. I love it when books in a series just get straight to the meat of the story because I already know the world, I already know the characters, like come on. I will just learn and catch up as I go because I want to be entertained. I'm here for the tea, I'm here for the drama. Because this is the second book in the series, I don't feel like I can really touch on what this book is about just because of spoilers, but I will give you a synopsis of Divine Rivals. So Divine Rivals is a YA fantasy and it is about Iris and Roman, and they both work at the same newspaper company and they're kind of workplace rivals, hence the name Divine Rivals, but they are constantly competing with one another and they're just fighting over like articles to write, being able to do specific jobs, things like that. And I'm pretty sure they're also competing for a promotion. Do not quote me on that though, but I'm pretty sure that is in the first book. But yeah, they work at this newspaper company and their world is magical, but I would say it's a little bit more atmospheric than like actual magic. The world itself has magical elements, like there's a coffee shop where the coffee or tea never gets cold, things like that. There's like a magical grocery store that will restock the shelves. It's very atmospheric. The world also feels like 1900s London. I don't know why, it just feels like that to me. I think it's because they have like cobblestone roads and they drink a lot of tea and eat a lot of biscuits, but that's the vibe I get when I read it. The main magical element is the fact that there is a war going on between 2 different gods, and the gods kind of remind me of Hades and Persephone. One god is very much like music, you know, she likes people, whereas the other one lives underground, giving much very Hades vibes. But yeah, there is a war between those two gods. And then Iris and Roman also are in possession of these magical typewriters. And even though they do not get along at work, because they both own these typewriters, they are able to send each other letters, and they basically become anonymous pen pals, so they become unlikely friends as a result of that. So I ended up rating this book a 3 out of 5. I was very hesitant going into this book just because when it first came out, it got a lot of negative backlash and I was a little bit scared, a little bit timid, I will admit, but I'm so glad I did because it really just wrapped up Iris and Roman's story and I love them so much. I feel like Rebecca Ross has such beautiful writing and that really came out in this book as well. Not to mention, these side characters are what really did it for me because we kind of get to know more about Iris's brother, we get to see her friends from the newspaper, and like there's romances budding there, and it was just so wholesome and cute, which is so crazy to say because there was a literal war. I think my main complaint is that the pacing felt a little bit slow. A lot of the days blended together for me, and it just felt very monotonous. I don't know the word, but it just felt very still, stagnant. I wish we would have gotten to the meat and potatoes sooner because the plot twist and the climax did get me. That's what honestly saved the book for me. I was just like jaw to the floor, stunned. So yeah, 3 out of 5. Highly recommend this series. I think I rated Divine Rivals like a 4.5. I absolutely loved that book. And again, duologies are amazing if you want to read fantasy, but you don't want to commit to a full-on series. Next up, we have Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is the second book of the Chestnut Spring series, which is finished, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's finished. But the Chestnut Spring series is a cowboy, small town, interconnected standalone series. It follows this family that owns this ranch called the Wishing Well Ranch. That is a tongue twister. Oh my gosh, my syllables are all jumbling together. But yeah, they own this ranch. It follows this family, the Eatons, and all the siblings, basically. And yeah, I read Flawless, the first book, about 2 years ago, and I have the entire series on my shelf. I was so excited to read it, and then I just kind of lost motivation. This series is very hyped up, and I think the hype got to me, and I was just a little bit scared that maybe I wasn't going to like it. If you are a frequent viewer of my channel, you know that Heartless has been on a TBR like 4 or 5 times. I'm not even exaggerating. It has been on monthly TBRs month after month, and I still just never got to it until now. And let me tell you, I am so glad I finally got to it because I devoured this book. So this book follows Cade and Willa. Cade is a single dad. He's a little bit grumpy. He is basically the go-to guy on the ranch. The dad, Harvey, is just a little bit too old, so he kind of has taken a step back running the ranch, and Cade is the front guy. He has this son. I think he's like 5 or 7. 5 to 7 is the age range. I don't really know for sure, but he has the son. The mom is not in the picture. She abandoned them pretty early on, I believe. And yeah, he's just grumpy, he doesn't like people, and he is in search of a nanny for the summer just because he's really busy with the ranch. His son, Luke, isn't in school anymore. He just needs an extra set of hands, which is where Willa enters the chat. Willa is the best friend of Summer, who is the main female character in Flawless. And Willa is very much carefree. She kind of just goes with the flow. She's very bubbly. She's definitely the sunshine to Cade's grumpy persona. And yeah, she is just so fun, spunky, whatever. I absolutely loved her. But she basically becomes his nanny, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I ended up rating this book a 4.5. It is definitely my favorite out of the series so far. I'm not done with it yet, so there could be a usurper, there could be a new favorite on the horizon. We will see. But I feel like Heartless is a lot of people's favorites just because it's so good. Like, I totally understand. But yeah, I absolutely loved Cade. I love that he was grumpy, but also still a gentleman. Like, he would still do nice things for Willa. Like, he would make an extra pot of coffee in the morning, or like do all these like little acts of kindness. If you are a fan of the acts of services love language, I feel like Cade Eaton is the man for you. I also normally do not like kids in books, but Luke, the son, was just so cute. I feel like he added a lot to the story without taking away from the couple and the romance. I also feel like he acted his age. One of my biggest pet peeves in books with kids is that the kids act too old for their age. Like, they act too wise. Like, I'm sorry, but like a 5-year-old should not be giving full-on monologues. Like, you don't even know all those words yet. Like, what are you doing? The two main things I would praise this book about is, one, there is no third act breakup. Like, that is a chef's kiss. Love you, Elsie Silver. Thank you for blessing us with a book that did not need a third act breakup. Like, we can still have tension and drama without a third act breakup. Take note, authors. But the other thing that I loved was the pacing of the romance. I feel like Elsie Silver did the slow burn trope so well. Like, there was always attraction from the start, but their friendship and their relationship over time developing just added to that attraction until eventually they got together, and it was so good. So good. Yeah, 4.5. Please pick up this series. Please start the Chestnut Springs series. Everyone needs a good old cowboy romance in their life. Okay, so moving on, the next book I read was Monarch by Sophie Lark, and I actually read that on my Kindle. It is available for free on Kindle Unlimited, and it is the second book of the Brimstone series by her. And the Brimstone series is an interconnected standalone series, and I'm pretty sure Sophie Lark releases one every year around Halloween. It's like a Halloween read, and it's basically like a dark romance thriller, I think is what you would call it. It's definitely a little bit more romance than thriller, but I feel like that is to be expected because Sophie Lark is at the forefront a romance author. So this book is about Elena and Atlas, and Elena is actually a mail to order bride. So she's coming all the way from Ukraine to America to marry this guy. And right away when she arrives to America, she kind of notices some discrepancies with her fiance. Some of the things that he told her during their talks and FaceTimes and things like that just aren't adding up. And the more time she spends with him, the more she's just like getting like bad juju vibes, you know what I mean? And Atlas is the owner of the hotel that her and her fiance is staying at, and because Elena is new to this country and she basically doesn't know anyone but her fiance and his daughter, Atlas is really there for her and is always in her corner if she needs him, and this does not fly with her fiance. And let's just say things go awry, things get crazy. So overall, I ended up rating this a 3 out of 5. It was honestly the perfect book for me at the time that I was reading it. I really wanted something fast-paced and easy to read, and that's exactly what I got. I love Sophie Lark. She is such an auto-buy author for me. I know anything that she writes I will love, just because she is the queen of, one, dark romances, but that aren't too dark, like they're fun, but also fast-paced romances. All her books are like 400 pages or less, and I feel like that is my sweet spot for romances. Every now and then I love a good like 500 page or more romance, but sometimes you just want something short, sweet, fun, and drama filled, and that was exactly what Monarch was. I definitely want to go back and read the first book, Grimstone, which is about Atlas's brother. I think his name's like Dane. They did show up in this book because it is an interconnected standalone series, and so I'm a little bit intrigued with him and his girlfriend that he ends up getting. But yeah, the main thing that I did not like about this book is the pacing of the romance. I feel like the romance went from 0 to 100 real quick. Like, there was a lot of insta love, but when you're reading a 300-page romance book, I feel like some insta love is okay. Like, I will let it slide. If you haven't tried Sophie Lark as an author yet, please do. I love her. The next book that I read in January was The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the third and final book of of the Cruel Prince trilogy. It goes The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and then The Queen of Nothing. Essentially, The Cruel Prince is about Jude, who is a human girl living in a fae realm, and her twin sister live in this fae realm where they're kind of looked down upon. Humans are kind of a second-rate race for some reason in this universe. They're just kind of looked down upon, seen as less than, and because of that, Jude has a lot of obstacles in her life. She is constantly being mistreated, misjudged, and even underestimated. So throughout the series, we really see her character develop and her becoming her best self, and I loved that. I feel like this series is very, very popular, so it probably doesn't need much of an explanation, but it is a YA fantasy. It does have a subplot of romance, but I think the romance is very much a slow burn romance. Like, when I was reading this book, I didn't even know if the characters even liked each other. That's how slow burn it is. Holly Black will feed you crumbs and you will be sitting on the edge of your seat and it is amazing, but the romance does take a backseat. Like, you get it every once in a blue moon. Okay? It is also enemies to lovers, and it is like real enemies to lovers. Like, the first book was really hard for me to get through just because they hate each other. Like, to the core, they hate each other. So I actually ended up rating this book a 5 stars. I know. It is my first 5-star read of 2025, and I feel like this just came out of nowhere. I read The Cruel Prince in 2024. I gave it a 3 stars. I read The Wicked King last year as well. Gave that maybe like a 4 stars, maybe a 3.5, I can't remember. And then all of a sudden, this is a 5-star read. I definitely think that Holly Black does an amazing job of making sure each book gets better and better. I feel like with series, it should always feel like you're going uphill with the quality of the book you are getting, and that is exactly what Holly Black delivered. My little warning I give every single time I mention this series is that if you are new to fantasy, or if you are a romantasy girly through and through and you need a heavy romance subplot, I feel like this just isn't the series for you. This series is very much action and political based. I feel like Holly Black does an amazing job of really going into detail about what Elfhame is, the political system of Elfhame, and all the like the nitty-gritty stuff, and I loved it. But again, the romance is like teeny tiny. It's amazing, but she's teeny tiny, okay? There's still like a little novella that's part of this series that is in Cardan's point of view. Cardan is the main love interest. He's like the prince of Elfhame. I love him so much. But yeah, I still have that one to get through. I'm like saving it for a rainy day because I love Jude and Cardan so much, and I can't fathom their story being over, that I don't get any more of them, at least not their point of view. I don't know if I'm going to read The Stolen Heir. I don't know. I think that's like the Prisoner Throne series. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna read it. We will see. We shall see. So next up we have Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is the 3rd book of the Chestnut Spring series. The Chestnut Spring series now has me in a chokehold. I am like devouring the series as we speak, and I couldn't be better. I am thriving, okay? Cowboy romances just do something for you, okay? They just hit different. Powerless is the 3rd book, like I said, and it is about Jasper and Sloane. Jasper is a hockey player, and he is basically an honorary Eton boy. He has a very troubled past, and at a young age, the Etons just like really welcomed him into their family, and Sloane is related to the Etons. I'm pretty sure she's their cousin, and she used to spend every single summer with the Etons on their ranch. So Jasper and Sloane basically kind of grew up with one another. They are technically childhood friends. So it is childhood friends to lovers. It is kind of a hockey romance. She's a ballerina. I would say it's definitely a slow burn. It was a little bit too slow for me at some points, I'm not gonna lie. And it is dual POV. Overall, I rated this book a 3.5. Starting off, I really thought this was going to be my favorite out of the series. I just loved Jasper. I loved being in his point of view. I loved how he looked out for Sloane and just really had her best interests at heart, even when others didn't. And I really loved Sloane's character. I love that she is such a good friend for Jasper, that she really understands him and what he's been through. I think their relationship is so endearing and wholesome, and I love love it. However, the actual romance itself really just like kind of disappointed me. I think it might be because I am not the biggest fan of friends to lovers. I can do friends to lovers, like don't get me wrong, there are books with that trope that I love, like they are 6-star reads for me, but it takes a lot for me to love them. They have to do every single thing right in my eyes, and Powerless just fell flat a little bit. One, it's dual POV, and that's great and all. I loved being in both their perspectives, but it was a lot of, oh, I like her, but she doesn't like me, but really she does, and they're just too blind to realize. I also wish we would have gotten more past tense chapters, like chapters in the past, like then and now. We did get like little inklings, like little flashbacks, and those were moments that I really liked the most. I loved seeing their friendship develop and their relationship develop. I feel like if I would have gotten more of that, I would have enjoyed it so much more, just because by the time we got to present day, I feel like their relationship was already developed. Like they already had feelings for one another, and I wanted to see that develop. Like I wanted to see their feelings grow with time. Overall, loved this book still. Loved the Chestnut Springs series. It just wasn't for me at the end of the day, and that is totally okay. Like if this is your favorite, I'm not hating on you, I'm not hating on your book taste. We just have different preferences, and that's okay. So yeah. I think we are at our last book of this wrap up, which is Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. This is a second chance romance between a wedding planner and a florist. So essentially, they used to work together. Something went wrong with their relationship. They broke up. It was a very hard time. They haven't seen each other in like 3 or 4 years, I want to say. And then they're both hired on to this very high profile wedding, like so high profile that you really can't say no to this opportunity. So yeah, they're forced to work with each other again. It's second chance romance, like I said. It's forced proximity. It's dual POV, and then it also has like a then and now timeline. So the main female character, her name is Amy, and then the main male character is Elliot. All of Amy's chapters are in present day, and then all of Elliot's chapters are in the past. Even though I would have loved to know what Elliot was thinking in the present day, I love seeing what he thought of Amy in the past and like why he fell in love with her in the first place. He is just so wholesome and so cute. If you like kind of grumpy, broody main male characters, but like they're grumpy and broody but nerdy and a little bit socially awkward, Elliot. Elliot is the man for you. I just ate him up. Ate him up, loved him, loved every minute of his POV. He's just everything to me. I feel like you can just tell where I'm going with this. This was a 5-star read for me. I know, 2 5-star reads in January, crazy. Just crazy. I think going into 2025, I'm really focusing on quality over quantity. I rather read a few really, really good books than a lot of mid-level books. And yeah, like it was just so good. I finished this book in one day on a school day, might I add. Like I had class, I had to do homework, everything. And I still found time to finish this book. Granted, it's not super long. It's like 350 pages, but still, that is an accomplishment for me, okay? Highly recommend this book. I literally cannot sing its praises more. I just loved every minute of it. I don't know if it's because I'm also wedding planning. I'm engaged. I'm getting married in June 2026. So reading about a wedding being planned, not to mention like a really expensive, like massive budget wedding being planned, dream come true. Like I'm self-inserting myself in this scenario and like thinking I could do all of this with my little budget. Like a girl could dream. A girl could wish and dream. But yeah, please read this book. It is so good. It's safe to say that I will be reading a lot more of Julie Soto in the future because she is a chef's kiss. I love her. So those are all 6 of the books I read during January. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below how many books you read during January, what your favorite book was, if you've read any of these books before and what you thought of them. I would love to know. I love chatting with you guys in the comments, so just comment so we can hang out and chat. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out, and turn on post notifications so you really don't miss out on any of my uploads. I try to upload at least once a week on the weekends, and that is a structure that I'm really gonna try to stick with. I am a full-time college student, so my weeks do get a little hectic, but I love booktube and I love talking to you guys on here and sharing my thoughts and opinions about books. So we are gonna be posting a lot this year, okay? Mark my words. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.